Hello, and I hope you are having a blessed day. I want to take some time to tell my testimony and what God has done for me. I've been living in this for actually, it's been over a year since what I'm getting ready to reference today. And I'm not going to go over the entire thing and what it looks like right now. And the best way to do that is to provide you some context. I have been trying keto off and on since 2018. This was after I started working at the vitamin shop in 2017, and it had not worked for me. I would stop and start. I would occasionally lose like 30 or 40 pounds and then put the weight right back on because I felt discouraged. Fast forward to late 2024, I'm married. I moved from where I was, no longer working at the vitamin shop, working at a warehouse, working long hours, and exhausted and barely able to walk when I get home from work. And if you work at a warehouse or you know anybody who work at a warehouse, they know exactly what I'm talking about. A It took me some time, I would say probably in the fall of 2024, to realize that God had put me in the right spot to lose the weight. And I just had to adjust my mindset. And so in December of 2024, I actually start keto, OMAD, so the ketogenic diet plus one meal a day. And I did have cheat days and a cheat week or so throughout the time, but from late December 2024 to April 2025, I went from 347 to 215. So I lost over 120 plus pounds, and it finally clicked for me. I finally was able to stick to it. I would have plateaus, feel discomfort, have cravings, at least early on. After the beginning, the cravings went away, but I felt incredibly clear. And the one meal a day, it was literally, I'd have my meal early in the morning, and that's it for the whole day. So basically, it was essentially like a 23-hour fast for throughout that particular time. And I felt like on top of the world after I finally put it together. It was like finally out of the valley and to the mountaintop, only for a God to show me that I still had a lot more to work on. So I won't go into the dream here today, but I had a very uncomfortable dream, heavily symbolic, very like pure nightmare fuel. And I woke up heart beating and sweating, and that has never happened after a dream for me before. And I got on my knees and prayed. I said, God, I know that you are trying to show me something because this is not random. And the interesting thing about this, now that I think about it, is I wasn't expecting a response as far as the meaning of this dream anytime soon. My first instinct was to pray. And little did I know it was going to come 3 days later, essentially. So at this time, I was working 3 12-hour shifts. So those days suck, and I absolutely don't miss them. I work 4 10s now, but I was working 3 12s then. And I get off of work tired, frustrated, sore. I got 4 days off in a row coming up, but just ready really to go home. And I realized I was out of something I needed. I was out of shredded cheese for I make these low carb quesadillas, and I was out of cheese, and I needed to stop at Save a Lot to get the cheese, and that was the only thing I was going there for. And I pull into the parking lot, I get out, and there's some guy who approaches me, and he asks me, he's like, man, like, can you help me out? I really just need some stuff for sandwiches. Something's going on with my food stamps. Like, can you just please help me out? And I basically said, I'll see, and kind of walked off. But I'll be 100% upfront. I did not have intentions of helping at all. I go in the store, get my cheese, and I have to pass by some of the stuff that he actually requested. And it turns out some of the stuff is on like the last chance sale. So it's not like it's near expiration, but not exactly. And I walk right past that and go straight up front to get in line. And there's only one cashier, and there's a line developing. So now I have time to wait and stew over that interaction. And as I'm thinking about this, I know I've seen like this meme where people talk about how like the conviction suddenly hits you. This is something that happened to me while I was in that store. Going back and forth with this feeling that I needed to act, I needed to do something to get what he asked for. Because it wouldn't have hurt me much. I didn't have much in my checking account, but I do have a small savings. And I could have gotten the meat, I could have gotten the bread, and I'm sitting there fighting internally over whether to act or not, whether this conviction that's suddenly hitting me very intensely. So I compromise. I leave the line and go get the bread because it's the closest thing there. And then I get out of the store and hand it to him making eye contact, but basically just throwing it in his hand and walking to my car. I got in the car, like my frustration melted away, and I'm now analyzing what just happened. Why didn't I act? Why didn't I do something? And part of me tried to say, well, I at least got something because there were other people at the store, other people that he stopped and talked to, but I at least gave something. And I immediately had a thought of that's not what you're supposed to do. There's various scriptures that we brought up now, but one of the obvious ones is I was hungry and you gave me something to eat. And the bigger, I would say, issue or thing I would say that I realized as I got home and thought about this, it was the last thing I thought about when I went to sleep that night, and the first thing I thought of when I woke up is I saw that person as somebody else who, at least from my past, who had I I view as very manipulative and would take advantage of my generosity, and that hardened me over time. And I'm not I'm not gonna lie, even within that moment, comparing the person at Save a Lot to the person from my past, they had the same mannerisms. They sort of talked the same, so it was a very weird experience. But I treated that man who was in need of help as if he was somebody from my past rather. And I realized, and that was part of like how the dream ties in. And like I said, we can talk about that at another time. But I have another layer or more depth when it comes to compassion and acting when I have the means. And that's really the main thing that I learned. Because like I said, I had the means. I did. It's not like I'm made of money. I work at a warehouse. I'm I'm not rich. I'm not middle class even, but I had the means in that moment, and the bar was lowered, and I still didn't act, and that bothered me a lot for a long time. So what I did from that moment is I realized, hey, God showed me this is something I need to work on. So I'm going to do it, even if I feel uncomfortable through the discomfort, through everything, through when I have those same feelings to seeing somebody else out on the street as I did for that person that was at, I'm still going to act and do what I can because it means, that moment had a huge effect on me. And I realized I can, even if you, even if I don't have money on me, I could at least pray for somebody because prayer isn't a lesser gift.